Hello everybody, this is Karyn-Grace Clark, Program Director of GOLD Lactation Online Conference, and I'm here with Fiona Langsharp, Master of Ceremonies and Public Relations Coordinator at GOLD Lactation Online Conference and for GOLD Perinatal Conference as well. Hi Fiona, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. It's been an awesome day, and we're going to talk about our day a little bit and then just talk about a few of the conference announcements that we have to give. But before I go any further, let me say officially happy birthday.
Oh, thanks. I wondered if you were going to say that. That's nice. I guess my flowers are on their way.
I hope so. I hope so, yes. How wonderful that you were able to attend with us online today during your birthday, and I hope you can have a good time later on. Okay, so today was our last live day of presentations, and you know, I got to tell you, I always feel a little sad when all the live presentations are over, because the live presentations are where the magic happens, right? You know what I mean? Like, they're fun and engaging, and we get to connect directly with the delegates, both on the website, you know, in the lobby, and then of course in the live presentations when they're chatting in the chat box. And I'm always sad when there's not any more live presentations. So I don't know, how do you feel about that?
Well, I have to tell you that this year I have just found that there's been a bit of a shift in our delegates. And I don't know what it is, but I think everyone will agree that we've been having more fun. Didn't know it was possible, but I've been having more fun, and we've been engaging more, and we've been chatting more. So I think we've just I don't know, our community has grown, and we've got more people coming back each year, and they're all engaging together. It's been like one big happy family.
I would agree with you on that one. And you know, I have to say this, that it's interesting to me that, you know, that GOLD delegate numbers continue to grow every year, because in the last 5 years or so, there's been a lot of online options, you know, come available for people to, you know, receive continuing education, not just for lactation consultants, but there is a lot of lactation education out there, face-to-face conferences, national, regional, online, just a lot of stuff. And yet GOLD really does maintain, you know, its loyal customer base, and we do get more and more people every year. And I like to think it's because you and I are so awesome, Fiona, but it's probably not that. It's probably just because we have really great education and we have a really awesome system. But I am humbled in some ways by the fact that that people really are coming back every year and telling us in the evaluations that they really, really appreciate what we're doing. So that's an awesome thing. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think that just from, you know, maybe there's just been a general shift. I think we're doing a better job every year at GOLD, and we work very hard. I was telling some of our delegates today that, you know, we make it a priority in our meetings to say, what would the delegates like? What do they want? Let's look at the feedback. Like, we spend a lot of time on that. And you and I alone spend a lot of time just talking to people, you know, on our adventures during the year. So, you know, I think everybody agrees, and I think it's made a difference to where we feel like we have a family here, you know, and our family is growing, but yet, you know, year after year, you know, I see the other delegates that have been coming for a while start to, you know, talk to the newer delegates, and that was really cool to see this year, and they're kind of leading the way, so it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. So that said, let's dive into just a few of the highlights of the day. Now, today started with a live presentation by Christine Vandenbroek-Snyder, and she presented a presentation called Breastfeeding in Belgium. And I'm actually supposed to be on the screen right here, and I wasn't. So yeah, she presented breastfeeding in Belgium, and it was an awesome presentation. You would think, you know, do I really need to know about that? I don't live in Belgium. I don't even live in Europe, whatever. And yet I got so much out of this because it was so jam-packed with information, so jam-packed with statistics. She's an excellent speaker. She did such a great job, and there is so much to learn by understanding the challenges in other parts of the world. You know, the challenges to breastfeeding, the challenges to birthing, the challenges to mothering, you know, and she really had a lot to say about how challenging it is there, and yet she also told us about the good work that they're doing. So I really got so much out of that, and I hope people will take the time, to listen to what Christine has to say. But your first live presentation of the day, that was with Vicky, wasn't it?
It actually wasn't, but I am going to talk about Vicky first because it's a good segue, because she went into the Dominican Republic. So we're talking a little bit about cultures and region right now. So what Vicky did was that she went on a relief mission to Dominican Republic. She'd kind of always wanted to do this in her heart. There she is there. So she ended up going out there. And you can see the title of her topic, "We Don't Need a Lactation Consultant, or Do We?" So she went out on this relief, and there was some really surprising things that she learned that she shared with us, and I'll just tell you a couple of them. So the first thing that she learned was that the C-section rate there is at 70%, and of course that just blew her away. She couldn't believe that in a sort of more rural, country, third world country, what they were doing there. So it was quite interesting to see that. So of course this has led to a lot of complications with breastfeeding and things like that, and how they even do C-sections is a lot different to how we do them in a Western culture. So there's a lot of things going on there. She spent quite a lot of time working with young women, and of course the other thing that she came to learn was that most of the women there start having their babies around 13 and are pretty much done by the time they reach their early 20s. So all the women that she was working with were very, very young, and they were quite shy and a little bit reserved, but once they sort of heard, and she was, Vicky was part of a group of people that went, of course, but they were giving out information, and she had 2 interpreters, one for the Dominica and one for Haiti, and so she had to go with quite a few people, but she was able to give out really good translated information to all of these women so that they could start to get some more support. But she herself, it sounded like a beautiful personal journey. Her presentation was good, so I mean that's what you need to know. Not only was her personal journey good, but the presentation I thought was very good, and I did too. I learned things, and it was inspiring, and she's going to pass along information to other lactation consultants about perhaps doing this themselves. So it was certainly inspiring if you're looking about doing a trip like this as a medical relief as a lactation consultant. Definitely needed.
Awesome. I had no idea that the average age of having babies in the Dominican was so low. I had absolutely no idea about that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that that's definitely something to listen to. I wanted to talk just briefly about Lori Jones and what she's doing with Dr. Milk. I'm going to pull her up online here. And really neat lady. Lives in Arizona, but is from Georgia, so she has a wonderful little Southern accent. And we were talking about that, the differences between sort of the Canadian dialect and whatnot. But really neat woman. She's a pediatrician and an IBCLC, and she started a support group, like a peer-to-peer, mother-to-mother support group run by a doctor and by an IBCLC who might be the same person, but might be 2 separate people, all for physicians who are mothers to help them breastfeed. Because did you know, Fiona, that physician mothers have among the lowest breastfeeding rates of sort of professionals, especially professional healthcare providers, the lowest breastfeeding rates are among physicians. And what the interesting thing is that of healthcare providers, it does blow your mind, but she really helped us understand why. And there's first of all, a lot of physician mothers are having babies during their residency years, or perhaps when they're newly forming a practice or have just recently, become an official doctor, and everything is new for them. And so it's really intense, but especially if they're doing it in their residency years, they're often awake, every 4 days for like 30 hours, in hospital doing these rotations. It is an intense time. And so these moms are on their feet, they're under a lot of stress, they're in the highest risk category. These moms have more preterm birth and more birth complications. They have more birth interventions. They're more likely to have mastitis and plugged ducts and oversupply or undersupply. And most of them are type A personalities, which actually complicates the issue a little bit. So anyways, it was a really good presentation about the people group of physicians why it's, and one thing, and this will stick with you, Fiona, she said it's really important to meet the needs of the physician mother because her breastfeeding experience will then set the stage for the healthcare she provides to breastfeeding mothers forever after. And so it's really important to meet those needs. Yeah, really important to meet those needs. So she not only told us about this people group, she also told us about how she got it set up and what works for her. And she certainly said, look, I'm willing to use my expertise to help other healthcare professionals start their own, peer support networks. If there's a group of nurses that want to start a nursing group, or if there's a group of dietitians or a group of dentists or a group of doulas or anybody that want to start a peer support networking group about breastfeeding to support them in breastfeeding, she's like, they can use my materials, they can use my pattern. They'll have to call it something else because Dr. Milk is obviously trademarked, but I thought really, really generous of her. So great presentation. I hope everybody listens to that. Why don't you tell us briefly about Jay? Tell us about Jay Simpson. I heard that was a really good presentation.
I don't know if I can be brief because it was really good, and we had a lot of really good conversations. So now I know you're going to ask me. So her presentation was called LGBTQ Parents and Lactation: Exploration in LGBTQ Culture. Okay, so now I know you're going to ask me, what do all those letters mean? And I have it from memory. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer. And there's another acronym that also comes around that has an I in it, and that means intersex too. So I'll tell you, this was great because for all of us who are not in this culture or not in this community like Jay is, we just really don't know a lot of these nuances that we need to learn about these families. And I think just some of us don't know how to interact or what to call them. So it was really interesting. Today we talked a lot about the word dyke and queer, and so a lot of us around the world, we had seen these words as being derogative types of words. And Jay explained to us very clearly that these are used very commonly in her world and in her field, and they're very normal and they're quite acceptable. So this was new information to me, and the way that it all tied into, of course she's a lactation consultant, but the way that it all tied in was a lot of the time when you are if you're open to working with families who are LGBTQ, then you need some sort of language in order to work with them, because sometimes if they're transgendered, you want to make sure that you're using him or her in the correct manner. And you know what? The takeaway from this was just simple. It was just ask. Just ask, and how simple is that? And so it was really great because I felt like it was a really earthy type of presentation today. She also presents very well. So, and I want to be clear when I say that, like eloquently, she spoke well, it was clear and understood well, and we had a great question and answer session. There was plenty of people that stayed around for that. So I know that when there's that type of feedback in a session, she'll go on and do good things. And so I have to say again, it was just really fascinating to hear about the LGBTQ community and what's going on there and all the differences and nuances that I wasn't aware of. I took tons of notes for myself in that session because I wasn't aware of all those things. And I have worked with lots of lesbian families, but I certainly don't know all the different types of, language to even use or even to ask. So Jay gave a really good presentation on that, and I found it very sort of foundational in her talk. So it was great. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad to hear that it was well received by our delegates and that there was lots of questions. I'm sure there'll be lots more people listening to it as a recording. As you know, a couple years ago when we were, thinking about content for the upcoming years and whatnot, we talked about, whether or not we were going to have this topic, on our roster for 2014, and I felt it was very important and very timely. But it's not always something that that healthcare professionals all across the board, accept. They're not always interested or, in stuff that's, maybe different than, what their own experience is or, what they understand. So knowing that it was well received and that Jay was very professional and that we can, provide a safe environment for our delegates to, explore different types of information, in that breastfeeding and lactation sort of, framework, is awesome. So I'm proud that we've been able to present that to our delegates for sure. Let's move on. Thank you for that really awesome synopsis there. But let's move on because I'm logged into the GOLD website here, so people following along with this podcast can just, watch the screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the recorded page here, right? So if you're a delegate, for anybody listening to this who's not a delegate, what you're seeing on the screen right now, you cannot access. These pages that I'm going to right now are only available for people who are delegates. And so if you want to access these pages, you want to watch the presentations we're talking about, you do have to register first. Nevertheless, so over in the recorded presentations, when we click that icon on the delegates dashboard, and by the way, I gotta say, I love our delegates dashboard because it's just so easy to find where you need to go, right? I mean, we've got a big website, don't we, Fiona? Yeah.
Oh, for
we've
sure.
got
sure.
lots of stuff to find out. So just want to remind everybody that always just keep going back to your delegates dashboard. Just keep going back there, keep going back there. You'll find what you need, under those icons. So here in the recorded presentations area, we've got the speakers listed alphabetically, and now that we've had almost all of the presentations live, we only have, I think, one more that's missing. Kimberly's is still missing, so she's going to be putting her recording up there fairly soon. And then we have the ladies from the IBLCE. Theirs is going to happen later today, and Tina Pollard, hers just occurred, and we'll have that recording up soon. But I just wanted to remind people that here on this page, the speakers are listed alphabetically, as you know. You can, under each speaker, we have their biography and their abstract and their handout. Lots of people aren't remembering where the handouts are, so this is one of the places to find them. And then we also have the live question and answer. Now, Fiona, I don't know about you, but I got to tell you, I think sometimes the best education is happening in the question and answer sessions. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've made a real effort this year to expand the question and answers and get involved. So from my point of view, as one of the hosts this year, I'd have to say that's been one of the fun parts of the year. I tend to worry too much about what's going to happen in the session as far as, are we going to have enough people engaging, or those, because they're important to me. I want people to be having fun all the time. That's just my type of personality. I hope you like it. I hope you're enjoying it. But people have, and they've really been giving us great questions, and so we've been able to have really, really good question and answer periods. So I think that our delegates are going to be so pleased when they hear the recorded version of those, and they're going to be able to gain so much knowledge from them as well.
I totally agree. I totally agree. We're not able to give educational credit for the question and answer session just because, the accreditation systems, be it the CERPs or the CMEs, they don't allow for that. But it really expands your knowledge to delve into that. And that's why we record the Q&A separately, so that people can go back afterwards and listen. So we're pleased to be able to offer that. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that the Q&A was there for each of the presentations. And I'm going to talk to Dave, he's our technical guy, and see if he can get a link to the evaluations as well, because you know what, I don't know if you've seen this in your live presentations, but I've seen it in mine, Fiona, where you know how after the end of a presentation we go into the end room and we tell people about the form link and the evaluation link, and then we stop the recording, then we go back into the presentation room where the slides are, and inevitably as soon as I do that, people are like, oh, you moved out of that other room too fast and I wasn't able to click on the evaluation link, and where do I get that? So I think our delegates maybe don't always know where to access that. So I think we need to get a link onto this page. So I'm going to talk to Dave about that, so that we should be able to have the Q&A and the evaluation survey links, so that our delegates can actually give us their feedback, on this page as well. Anyways,
I think that'd be great.
I think so too. Yeah. So we'll put some pressure on Dave, you and me, hey?
Yeah, sure.
Now I wanted to point out the poster presentations because I've had a few comments in our live presentations, Fiona, just from the delegates in the chat box, and they're going, well, where do I go to get the poster presentations? And I'm thinking that because our recordings page, as you can see me scrolling here, there's a lot of stuff. We have all of the main speakers, alphabetically, and then down here, we have oh no, we don't. We have culture and diversity, and then we have industry, and at the very bottom of that page, we have the poster presentations. These really shouldn't be at the bottom, but where else could we fit them? So I just wanted to make sure that people are taking the time to view these because they're really good. There's no narration. You just read it. It'll take you about 15 minutes to half an hour to read each one, depending on the speed, of your reading speed. But we've got Maternal Trait Personality and Breastfeeding Duration by Amy Brown. We have How to Be a Lactation Consultant Pioneer by Ima Malado from Spain. We've got Breastfeeding May Protect Against Persistent Stuttering by Jamie Smith. Lara Audello talking about social media and using that to connect with breastfeeding mothers. Marianne van der Veen Kolkina talking about inner peace and how those early experiences influence later life. And I say talk about, but I mean writing about, because it's a slide with notes, right? And then we have gastroesophageal reflux disease, which was put together by Veronique from France. And then, of course, Virginia has an awesome one all about marketing messages across 160 years, regarding bottles and teats. So really, really good stuff. Please take the time to go through this. You do get CERPs for these presentations. So wanted to make sure everybody knows about that. All right, I need to break from talking here, Fiona. So it's your turn now. What else did we need to tell our delegates?
Well, we were going to chat a little bit about choosing and pacing yourself through the conference now. So now that most of the live presentations are done, you'll want to make sure that you get all your favorites in and how to do that in your time allotment that you have for it. So the best thing to do that I think, now if you've got any tips, KG, you can jump in a second, but I know for me, the best way that I've done it over a period of time, and I've done it a couple of ways before. I've listened to all the live recordings all together before, but I think that the way that we have it now, because we changed the dynamics a little bit to actually make it easier for people, because that's quite overwhelming to stay up till 3 in the morning and listen to them. So the way that we have it now is that over a period of time, what I would do is go in and look at the ones that you really want to listen to, and make sure you do that first, because otherwise you'll regret that you don't see them. But also break down, it's probably better if you look at your calendar, break it down, and do sort of a couple a day, and so that you can really get them all in. And I think that's really important. And I'm not just saying this because I'm not here just to be fluff, but honestly, because one of the things that we run into all the time is that people run out of time. And we've already extended it longer. If you are a gold member, you can add a couple of extra weeks to that. So I must mention that if you want to become a member, you can go to our website and become a member, and that will give you the option to listen to the live recordings for an extra 2 weeks, plus give you 10% discount on all gold lactation conferences. There's a little plug for you. So I think it's really important that you spend some time just allocating your favorites on your calendar and pacing yourself just over the coming weeks, because you know what, at the end of it you'll feel really rewarded, and that's the key thing. And you won't feel overwhelmed or rushed if you get to the end and go, I didn't have enough time, or I wish I could have, because the other thing that happens too is that you will listen to a recording and then you may want to listen to that one special recording that you really connected with again. Okay, and that's what I found, was that there was always an opportunity to me to listen to a few of them twice, because I really liked them, or there was a component. I looked at the handout and I wanted to go back. So just remember those things as you're pacing yourself through, because we really want you to maximize your time with us. And we really want you to get as much education out of this as possible. So know that we're on your side. We're rooting for you to get through this in a timely manner, but spend a little time dedicated to your calendar, and we know that you can do it. And we'd love to hear your tips about this as well. So tips and tricks, I got my words out there. Post them in the forum, and we'd love to hear how you've done it and how you're enjoying them and all those types of things. Okay, so don't hesitate to jump in on the forums and do that as well.
Well,
KP.
and you know what? I do have a couple of tips for people. I agree with what you said about, picking your favorites and watching those first, and then if you have time as the weeks are going on to kind of watch, the ones that maybe aren't as important to you afterwards. I think that's a really good point. But the other thing is people need to remember that this is a conference, it is an event, it does have a beginning date and an end date, and if they can keep focused on that, it'll be a priority for them. What we find is that people will register for Gold and they'll think, oh, I've got tons of time, and then life is happening and everything is going on and there's a week left in the conference, and then they panic. So the best thing to do is watch one presentation a day, or maybe two every other day, or take a Saturday or maybe 3 or 4 Saturdays in a row if you can do that and you don't have other commitments, and watch 3 or 4 or 5 presentations and make that your education day. So you have to schedule the time, you have to schedule it, make an appointment with yourself, get into the habit of every day after dinner, you open up Gold, and instead of watching TV, you watch 1 or 2, presentations, or instead of reading at night in bed, you watch a presentation. Now, here's a really good thing. You can actually sort of preload the presentation. So you can log in on your computer at home in the morning. You can sort of load one up, and if you have to go to work, you don't have time to listen, or you can do this on your tablet, for example. You load one up and you let it play, but you keep it on silent, and then you can go back to it later and you can play it again, right? So if it's open and it's available on your tablet or your laptop or whatever, you can watch it a little bit later, even if you're not able to log in at that time. You can do that in the car when you're waiting for your kids, or if you have any waiting to do anywhere. I was talking to somebody recently who was saying, I've got like 9 hours on a plane, I'm flying to Europe. I was like, look, load a bunch of these things, a bunch of the presentations before you go, and then you can listen on the plane, because of course you can't log in on the plane, but if you previously log in and you start the recording, and I think you can do it that way. So just some things for people to think about to make it easier for them to schedule the time and watch the presentations. And nowadays, now that we can watch them on our tablets and even on our smartphones, some people are even doing that. So we have a page on our website called our technology page. If you go to support and you go down to technical support, I'm just going to head over to that page right now. There's all this information about what technology you need, and if you're a mobile viewer, how to use that. So really, really good stuff, and lots of ways to get through it. Now, just really quickly, Fiona, I wanted to add this to what we're talking about, the non-English presentations. So Christine from Belgium has recorded her presentation in German and in Dutch, because she speaks 3 languages. And we also have 2 poster presentations in different languages, one in French, that's the one by Veronique, and one in Spanish by Ima. So this page is available to the general public. They can access this page on our website. Okay, so if we go to our home page, which I'm doing right now, then we have a banner there. No, we don't have a banner there. I thought we had a banner there. Oh, wow. We're supposed to have a banner there. That's something else we have to talk to Dave about. But nevertheless, you can find the non-English page. But I'm going to have to, here it is, right here on the blog. That's where it is. So if you scroll down, you'll see it on the blog. You click read more, and it opens up that the page where there's other presentations to view. And click here to view them, and then that pops up and away you go. So I just wanted to point that out and let people know that it is available to the general public. You don't have to be a delegate to listen to those few presentations. All right, what was next on our list there, Fiona? What do we want to talk about?
Okay, we need to speed up, but because we're running out of time. But you need very important things to talk about in the last few minutes here. Contest, forum use, and we have to talk about the closing ceremony.
Okay, I'll just go to the contest page really quickly. I won't go into the details because we don't have time for that. But for our delegates, we are running, like a social butterfly contest. We are running a live award contest, meaning for every time that you attend a live presentation, you get an entry, and we're giving away some books and some really different cool things. So please go to the conference, Goldie's Awards conference contest page, and read through the rules and see what we're doing there. And I hope you guys enjoy that. So then we wanted to talk about the forums, right? So let me just go to that page really quickly, and you can just tell us why the forums are important and why people should interact there.
Well, I tell you, people probably already know why well, if they've been listening to me, they already know why they're important, and they also know how passionate I am about getting them in there. So I think this year, if you look at the amount of people that have been posting questions, you probably see that it has gone up because I've been bargaining with people and telling them to promise to me that they'll go there, because again, it's so important that this is something we can take advantage of. This conference is unique in the sense that we keep the conversation rolling right through the time we're on air, and right through the time that other people are listening to the conversation. It's so important. This is our community, so beyond our live presentations that are wrapping up today, this is what we do next. We get into the forums and we start talking. Look at the numbers. That's just fantastic. So I'm really pleased. So this is something that has great value. It's also a way that something that you're not going to see at a live conference is that you're going to see where you can engage with speakers, and really get into some details about their work. And they come back and they want to talk to you. They want to engage with you. So know that this is something that you're not going to get anywhere else with any other conference. This is what you get at Gold. So the conversation and the community continues. Okay, I'm going to be quiet now.
No, awesome. You're bang on about that. How terrible is it when you want to ask a question at a conference and you go up, you're just about to stand up to go to the microphone, and then they're like, well, thank you all for coming. We need to shut the room now, and you all need to, it's lunchtime, and of course you're happy to have lunch, but you just wanted to ask your question. But at Gold you can, because that's what the forum is for. Okay, we have one or two more things to talk about, and then we'll just bring this highlights to a close. What else was there, Fiona?
Or just the closing ceremony. That's all we need to chat about now.
Oh, well, that's pretty simple. Well, what's the closing ceremony? Why should we go to that?
Well, I've been talking a lot about I've been talking a lot about the closing ceremony. Well, the closing ceremony brings us the highlights, the beautiful, presentations, the behind the scenes, what's been going on. But overall, again, there was some people today who said they are coming already. So we know we've got plenty of people that are going to come, and you shouldn't miss it either. So if you're listening to this, I hope that you will come, because we really do have a wonderful time spending that time together, engaging in what has happened over the last few weeks in our live presentations. And so it's a way just to conclude, our time where we have been live together, but also sort of to send off in terms of, what's going to be coming up in the, in the coming months at Gold, and a way to stay connected. So it doesn't just end here. Our closing ceremony is as equally important, and KG and I will be there chatting with you and going through some of the presentation. And it will be wonderful. The other thing to remember too is that our prizes will be there as well for the contest. So make sure that you come for that as well. It'll be lovely to have you.
For sure, because we are going to announce the winners, of our social butterfly contest and our selfie contest, and of course the Loving Live Award. So it just kind of goes without saying that for people who, attend a lot of the live presentations, they'll be at the live closing ceremony. We can announce, the winner, and then hopefully they'll be there to accept their prize, and we can have a drum roll and lots of fun stuff. The closing ceremony is on Saturday, May 31st at 2100 GMT, otherwise known as UTC, and we do hope that you will be able to join us for that. Fiona and I will be going through all of the highlights of the conference, some really neat stuff, and you never know, we don't have a thank you gift planned, but I might be able to pull something out of a hat, Fiona, and we'll see where that goes. So that brings this session to a close, and let me just say again, Fiona, happy birthday, and thank you so much for just meeting with me after this very long day and chatting with me and letting people know what's going on at Gold Lactation.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, KG.
Alrighty then, and I'm just going to say goodbye to everybody who's listening, and do keep in mind that registration is still open. It's open until May 15th at goldlactation.com, and we hope to see you online. Bye for now.